So you're trying to figure out when you should pay your credit card bill so you can boost your credit score? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you those exact dates, plus I'm going to be sharing with you the percentages you should be paying every single month, all right? So you definitely want to stick with me all the way through this video so you don't miss anything. Now, my name is Rakeem Madison, and with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's content. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the important dates, and then after that I'm gonna give you a full number breakdown using one of my actual credit cards. That way this stuff, really starts to make sense and you understand the percentages that you should actually be paying. All right, so let's get on to it. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and draw a circle here, a circle here, and a circle here. And I understand those ain't the best circles, but I promise you're gonna understand this. All right, so now I'm gonna put a D in here, I'm gonna put an S in here, and I'm gonna put a U in here. All right, now you're probably like, what does DSU actually mean? All right, so here we go. So typically when you start to use your credit card, at some point, those lenders are gonna be like, all right, we need our money now. You've been using the credit card, so go ahead and hand it over. So now at this point, right, and I'm gonna use one of my numbers. I'm gonna use my numbers as far as like my dates, and then we're gonna jump into like my actual numbers where I give you like the balance and the limit and all of that stuff. But right now we're just gonna use the dates. So for one of my credit cards, it's due on the 15th of every single month. Now at this point on that date, I pay my stuff every single time. Now you can pay it early, right? It's cool to do that, but the thing about it is you're gonna have to wait a long time until you get to the actual next date, which is going to be the S date. Now the S date is actually going to be the 18th of the month for me, right? For that particular credit card. Now it may be different for you, and how you find your statement date is you actually either go online if you got online statements, or whatever, when they send you it in the mail, like when they send you your credit card statement, look on it, right? You're gonna have your due date on there, and you're gonna actually have your statement date on there. You want to make sure you're looking on there. Sometimes you'll see something that say like a closing date. That could be your actual statement date, but you definitely want to check, with the lenders to make sure you know exactly what that date is, because it's important, because that's the date that they actually gonna report your stuff to the credit bureau. And what I mean by stuff is the balance that you actually have, right? Now this next date is going to be your use date. Okay, so for me, that's going to be on the 19th of the month. Okay, now typically, that's typically where the question comes. Okay, well, after I pay this off, when can I actually use my credit card again? That's that date, for me. But for you, it's going to be after your statement date. Now, if you really want to be safe, you can say, okay, well, I'm gonna just wait 24 hours after that date, right? Just to be on the safe side. It's up to you, okay? So those are the dates: the due date, and then the statement date, and then the date that you can actually use it. Now, you don't want to pay on the 16th or the 17th or whatever between the due date and the statement date. You don't want to pay in between there. You want to pay on the due date or before. But understand, if you pay it before, let's say for instance, in this case, you say, okay, well, I'm gonna pay it on the 10th of the month. What that means is you're going to have to wait from the 10th all the way to the 18th. So you can probably see why it's more beneficial to pay it on the due date, like so that way it's a lot closer. Because let's say, for instance, you pay it on the 10th or the 11th, and then you're like, oh, well, I got to use it again. Then at that point, your balance going to be reported higher, and the whole point of it was so you can actually report low credit utilization, right? So always pay it on the due date. Or you could pay one day before, but not a whole week before, right? Because, you may be tempted to use it again, okay? So now that we got all the dates, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete all this, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, using actual numbers. All right, so one of my credit cards is $2K, right? So we know, okay, $2,000. So let's say, for instance, I ran it up to $1,000, right? I say, okay, boom. At this point, that's 50% credit utilization, which is not good, and you don't want that to report to the credit bureaus. But the good thing about it is you have until that statement date to knock it down. Now, that, like I said, in my case, it was the 15th for the due date, the 18th for the statement date, and then the 19th would have been my use date. Now, I don't want to go ahead and pay my stuff on the 16th or the 17th, and definitely not the 18th, because we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where it's going to report a high balance, right? So we got 2,000, 1,000. Now, what I need to understand, I already know that my stuff is due on the 15th. So boom, I go ahead and knock it out. I'm going to go ahead and put a check right there. Now, on the 18th, they gonna send it off, right? So I'm gonna just make it look like, you know, an arrow pointing up because they just sent it to the credit bureaus. At that point, I know I'm good. So on the 19th, I can say, okay, let's start the process over again. And then I can run it up to 1,000 again or 500. But I'm not recommending that you here in this video just keep running your stuff up if you can't actually make that payment. Now we're gonna actually get into the percentages, right? So most people will tell you to keep your stuff 30% or below. Well, I'm going to tell you to keep your stuff between 1 and 10%. Okay? 1 and 10%. Now, what this means is you're going to have some discipline. Now, I run businesses, right? So for me, I can go out and I could, you know, arbitrage some stuff, or I could have other income streams coming in. Now, if it's just, if you're watching this and you don't really have a business, you don't have other streams of income, it's recommended that you don't go out there and just run up a bag, right? You don't want to do that, right? But understand, you got to say, okay, I'm going to be able to manage about $200 a month, okay? And then you could just get your stuff down, right? Or if you're going to do 500 or whatever you're going to use it for something that's going to actually be beneficial. Me personally, I use it for, like, you know, business stuff, or if I'm doing some type of, you know, investing or something along those lines so that I can actually make money back. Although I have, you know, multiple income streams, it makes sense to actually use it in that sense versus, oh, I'm just going to use the credit card to go buy some new J's or buy some, you know, or whatever it is that you buy it for, use it for. I wouldn't recommend doing too much spending unless you plan on, like, really, you know, having other stuff coming in, right? Hopefully that part right there makes sense. But you always want to make sure that you have it between 1 and 10%, because that's when it's going to move the needle. If you between 20 and 30%, it's not really going to move the needle. I promise you it's not going to move the needle. Once you get between that 1 and 10%, that's where, you know, the pros really sitting at, and that's how they're able to, like, really boost their credit score so fast. So hopefully you got some value from this video, and if you did, definitely go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Also, drop me a comment down below letting me know if this information was valuable, and if you want to learn how you can boost your credit score leveraging TradeLine, then you can go ahead and use that first link down below in the description box. That's going to allow you to get access to a TradeLine that's going to help you boost your credit score. All right, so with that being said, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.